Hello friends, welcome once again to Andy Tech Cyber channel. If you're new to the channel, kindly hit the subscribe button for me, like and then share my video. So for today, I'm pretty sure you might have heard of the term multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication. Why do we always encourage that you make sure whenever you try to access a system or you register an account online, it has a multi-factor authentication implemented? So I'm going to explain why it is important and why it is one way you can prevent the system from being compromised, right? Now, what is authentication? Now, when we say authentication, for instance, let's say you've created a Facebook account. Now, the next time you try to visit a Facebook account, you need to enter your username and then the password. So now this is what happens. Once you create the profile, your profile is stored in a database, right? And so the next time you try to access the website, the system needs to make sure it is giving access to the right person. And the only way to verify that is by being authenticated, right? So pretty much it's a way of proving you are the right user accessing a particular system. Now, authentication has three different forms. Now, the first thing is something you know. Now, when we say something you know in authentication, basically it comprises of like a password, like a PIN number you've been given, or etc. So that is something you know, right? So when, let's say, you enter your username, one form of authentication you use, that's the common one, is something you know. So you enter your password, or sometimes you're given a PIN, you just use the PIN, right? So that is one. Now, another form of another factor of authentication is something you have. So the something you have could be a smart card or a token, right? So we have a USB token. So sometimes there are certain websites, you enter your username and then you enter a token, right? So the token generates sequence of numbers. So once you generate it, you apply that to your username and you'll be fully authenticated. So that is something you have. And then the last one is something you are. So something you are talks about the human body, your personality, right? So that is one example is fingerprints, right? And also another thing is the face ID. So for something you are, it has to do with you. So the system scans either your facial, your facial expressions, or it scans your face, and also it can scan your fingerprint. Then it gets you authenticated. Right. Now, when we say multi-factor authentication, or when we say two-factor authentication, is a process whereby two or more of these three factors I've mentioned is implemented in a system. For instance, I think the most common one is sometimes you enter your password and then you have to scan your face, right? The face ID. Some system just uses one. Now, we always encourage that you make sure you resort to a two-factor authentication. This is the reason. Now, let's say for some reason, right, someone get access to your username and then your password for your bank account, right? Now, I'm going to give two scenarios. The first scenario, let's say there's this bank A that has they've not implemented multi-factor authentication, but bank B has implemented a two-factor authentication. Now, for bank A, let's say someone finds one way or the other to get access to your username and then the password for your bank account. What's going to happen? So once the person gets access to your details, goes to the bank's website and enters your login details, what's going to happen? That means the system is going to give the person full access. Why? Because according to the system, the right username and then the password, the pair was the right one that was entered, and so it assumes you are the right person. So you see, it means for that when there is no multi-factor authentication, then there is only one layer of security, and that is not secure. That's not right. Good. Now let's say bank B that has implemented the multi-factor authentication. Even when someone gets access to your account, right, account details, and the person enters your username and then your password, now the first authentication or first security layer has been bypassed, right? Now the person has to bypass the second authentication, or the second form of authentication, and it could be you being given like a PIN, right, or you being told to scan your face or use your thumbprint or fingerprint. Now, why is this secure? You can see someone can get your account details, but the person will not be able to get the code, right? Because probably the person, you have your phone number, the person doesn't have that information. So when a short code is being sent to your phone, then the person does not have access. Then without that, the person can never enter into your account details. Your account, right? And also, in a case where you're supposed to scan your fingerprint or your face ID, then there's no way the person is gonna like catch you up and then scan your face or something like that. So we always advise, make sure whenever you're trying to create an account online, you make sure the system has implemented the multi-factor authentication. This is the best way that's gonna help you as an individual, right? So this is all for today. Continue to stay secured over the internet and be intentional with whatever activity you engage on in the internet or on the internet. Thank you.